Old-time movie stars don't leave behind the sweet smell of success. Instead, they leave medical papers with cold facts. Behind every big name from the golden days of movies lies a folder with details many prefer not to discuss openly. Bodies discovered with items in their mouths. Rising stars who never reached their peak. Changed faces, stains of red, broken dental work, notes without names. Marilyn Monroe, the Sleeping Beauty. They discovered her lying on her front, just as she entered the world. One arm reaching out into emptiness. Next to her, many empty medicine containers. The official paper stated simple facts. Extreme medicine poisoning. But her body told more. A damaged liver. A stomach with almost nothing inside. Marks in places that didn't match with falling down. The case ended with likely self-caused death. But there was no goodbye message. No farewell. No signs she planned it. The house was secured from within. And one detail seemed wrong. She had over 8 times the deadly amount of sleeping medicine in her body. She didn't need that much to end her life. It was too much. As if someone wanted to make absolutely sure. Was she pushed aside because she knew too much? People still ask this question today. Some say she was speaking with important people on the phone just hours before. Others say she sounded happy, making plans for tomorrow. The medicine bottles found scattered around her bed told one story, but her hairbrush still on the bathroom counter told another. She was only 36, beautiful, troubled, and known worldwide for her smile. But that smile hid deep sadness and feelings of being alone even when surrounded by crowds. Her bedroom became a scene studied by many. The position of bottles, the half glass of water, the telephone placed oddly far from the bed. All these details became part of the bigger question. Did she really choose to leave? Or was her ending written by someone else? Her doctor had given her too many medicines, refilling supplies that should have lasted months. Friends said she had trouble sleeping for years. The mixture in her blood was dangerous, especially combined with the drinks she had earlier that evening. The mystery deepened with missing pages from the investigation. Key witness statements disappeared. The timeline of discovery changed in different reports. She became more famous in death than in life. Her final hours examined more closely than any movie scene she ever filmed. Decades later, people still place flowers at her resting place, still wonder about the truth behind that last night in her small house, still question if someone wanted to silence her forever. Natalie Wood, The Ocean Whisper. Dark water, private boat, 3 people. Her husband, an actor friend, and her. By morning, her body was floating near the shore, wrapped in thin night clothes and wet socks. The medical examiner noted marks on her arms and legs, scratches on her face, and high amounts of alcohol in her blood. The official reason given: accidental drowning. But the report had gaps. Why did nobody hear calls for help? Why did it take hours to report her missing? Signs of a struggle appeared in the report, using gentle words. Years later, the case was opened again. But by then, time had already taken almost everything away. The boat trip was supposed to be a happy occasion, celebrating her latest movie success. Witnesses on nearby boats reported hearing music, laughter, then sudden silence. The captain said the weather turned bad quickly, waves rocking the small vessel. But weather reports showed calm seas that night. The timeline offered by her husband changed several times during questioning. First, he said he slept through everything. Then he mentioned checking on her at midnight. Later, he claimed they argued before he went to sleep. The actor friend's statement contained strange gaps. He described her as upset, but couldn't explain about what. He mentioned leaving the main cabin around 2 a.m., seeing her still awake, drinking alone. The marks on her body suggested she didn't simply fall overboard. The medical examiner noted fingerprint-shaped bruises on both upper arms, as if someone had grabbed her forcefully. Her blood alcohol level was high but not incapacitating. She could swim well, having grown up near water. Most disturbing was the missing time, nearly 4 hours between when she was last seen alive and when the alarm was raised. The boat was small, making it unlikely no one heard splashing or calls for help. Some people close to the investigation whispered about deleted photographs, about a cleaned cabin, about moved items. The case reopening decades later brought no charges, just more questions. The ocean kept most secrets, leaving behind only a beautiful actress who never reached age 45, whose final scene played out without cameras rolling. George Reeves, the hero's fall. The famous hero didn't fly away. They found him in his room, lying on the bed, a bullet wound to his head, no clothes, no signs of fighting. The weapon on the floor near his foot. The official story described a self-caused shot during stress and disappointment. But his body had other things to reveal. Strange gunpowder marks, odd angles, and witnesses who altered their accounts. His girlfriend was downstairs with a friend. They said they heard the shot, but waited 45 minutes before going upstairs. No fingerprints on the weapon, not even his own. The hero didn't fly, but he likely didn't fall by himself either. He had recently argued with his girlfriend about money, about career choices, about their future together. The house had valuable items missing after his death, items never recovered. The angle of the bullet path puzzled weapon experts who questioned how he could have held the gun to create such an entry wound. More troubling was the clean weapon, wiped of all prints, including his own. Would someone planning to end their life think to clean the gun first? The waiting period after the shot raised red flags for investigators. 45 minutes is an unusually long time before checking on a loud noise. The friend downstairs gave 3 different versions of what happened during that time. Phone records showed calls made from the house phone during those minutes. Calls later deleted from the official record. The girlfriend inherited everything, despite their relationship troubles in recent months. His career had been struggling after his big success. Offers decreased. Money problems mounted. Some friends reported he seemed afraid in the weeks before, constantly looking over his shoulder, changing daily routes. He told one friend, "If anything happens to me, look deeper." Nothing was found in his blood except a small amount of medicine for anxiety, not enough to cloud judgment or coordination. The case technically remains open, but inactive. His fans still believe something hidden happened that day, something that turned their flying hero into a fallen star whose true story never fully emerged. Thelma Todd, the Hilltop Mystery. It was a Sunday. They found her in her vehicle inside a closed garage at the top of a hill, head leaning against the window, the engine off, her body stiff. No one had seen her for 2 days. The medical examiner ruled it gas poisoning, but her body suggested otherwise. Cut lips, blood from the nose, a hit to the face with no mechanical explanation, wrinkled party clothes. How did she arrive there? Alone at 4 in the morning wearing high shoes. The garage door was secured from the outside, and her connection with her former business partner more strained than ever. The report stated accidental, but no one accepted that conclusion. Was it truly an accident? Something more planned? The timeline created more questions than answers. She was last seen leaving a restaurant Friday evening, arguing with her business partner over missing funds. Her car appeared at the Hilltop property Sunday morning, according to a neighbor who noticed it while walking his dog. But her phone showed a call made Saturday afternoon, a call that lasted 3 minutes to an unlisted number. The phone was never found. Her face showed signs of being struck: a bruised cheek, split lip, broken nail on her right hand suggesting she fought back. Yet her clothes, while wrinkled, were fully intact. Her shoes, expensive high heels, had grass stains despite the property having only concrete pathways. Most puzzling was the locked garage, secured from outside with a padlock requiring a key. The key wasn't in her possession or anywhere in the garage. The business partner had an alibi, security camera footage showing him at a hotel 30 miles away. But questions remained about the missing company money and threatening messages found on her home answering machine. The case officially closed as accidental death with suspicious circumstances, leaving her family fighting for years to have it reopened. The hilltop property was sold, demolished, rebuilt, erasing potential evidence. Her story became a whispered warning in entertainment circles about dangerous partnerships and isolated locations. Montgomery cliffed the slow goodbye. They discovered him very late in his home, surrounded by empty bottles, face down against the bedside table. The medical examiner was exact. He slipped, hit his head, and bled slowly over many hours, but his body showed signs of trying to survive. He attempted to crawl. Blood appeared in multiple rooms, stained window coverings. The wound on his forehead wasn't deadly by itself. What ended his life was time passing. The report included alcohol influence as a contributing factor. No calls made, no help sought, just the quiet sound of a body hitting stone flooring. He was found 5 days later. The television remained on. His decline had been happening for years, a bright star gradually dimming. Once commanding huge payments for movies, he had been reduced to small parts, commercials, guest appearances. Friends had distanced themselves as his drinking increased. His home showed signs of neglect: unpaid bills stacked on tables, expired food in refrigerators, clothes unwashed. The cleaning service had stopped coming weeks earlier when payment stopped. The reconstruction of his final hours revealed a lonely scene. He returned home from a small celebration where he was the only attendee. Store receipts showed purchases of expensive drinks. The television was tuned to one of his early films, playing on repeat when they found him. The trail of blood through the house told investigators he had first hit his head in the bathroom, then tried to reach the phone in the bedroom, then attempted to reach the front door. He never made it past the hallway. Most heartbreaking was his calendar, empty of appointments except for one note the following week: try again. A half-written letter sat on his desk, addressed to his estranged daughter, explaining his absence from her life. His death certificate listed accidental traumatic injury complicated by alcohol consumption, but the true cause might better be described as abandonment, by friends, by family, by an industry that used his talents then discarded him when troubles began. His funeral attracted hundreds, many who hadn't spoken to him in years, creating a crowd in death he couldn't gather in his final living days. David Carradine, the shocking scene. Actor, politician, voice of strong opinions. They found him in his bathroom, partially hanging from a belt, unclothed, surrounded by reflective surfaces. His body was tied, gagged, and covered in inappropriate words written in makeup across his chest. The marks on his wrist suggested extended pressure, not resistance. The medical examiner determined accidental lack of oxygen during an unconventional private activity. But what disturbed everyone wasn't the how, it was the who. No signs of forced entry, no note, no witnesses, and no one willing to speak about it. The report became forbidden in the archives. No one wanted to touch it, not even with protective hand coverings. His public image contrasted sharply with his private activities. Known for promoting traditional values, fighting against certain lifestyles, his personal choices revealed deep contradictions. The apartment where he was found wasn't his official residence. It was a secret place paid for through a complex business arrangement, hiding his name. Monthly payments came from campaign funds disguised as consulting fees to a non-existent company. The investigation revealed regular visitors to this apartment, individuals who wouldn't speak to authorities, protected by powerful connections. His phone contained deleted messages referring to special arrangements and private sessions. His calendar used a color-coding system for appointments never mentioned publicly. Red marked these secret meetings, occurring weekly for years. Most concerning were the missing security tapes. The building's system experienced a malfunction, covering exactly 8 hours surrounding his estimated time of death. The front desk attendant was given an unexpected night off. The cleaning staff was told to skip that floor. Everything pointed to someone ensuring privacy, then ensuring no witnesses. The case officially closed as accidental death during private activity, but informal discussions among investigators suggested a more complex scenario involving potential blackmail, threatened exposure, and preventative silencing. His public funeral emphasized his career achievements, with no mention of the circumstances that ended his carefully constructed double life. Jean Harlow, the fading light. The famous blonde star was weakening gradually. For weeks, her body gave warnings: swollen skin, breath smelling like strong chemicals, cloudy eyes. While filming, she fainted, perspired without reason, and nobody paid attention. The day she couldn't stand up, they took her to medical help too late. The scientific report was clear: sudden kidney stopping, but her health records showed neglect. She received certain medicines without proper checking. Her mother, devoted to alternative healing, refused to approve treatment. Her body stopped working at 26. The white hair, perfect skin, all hiding a body poisoned from inside. Her transformation from unknown girl to worldwide star happened too quickly. The studio demanded she lose weight, change her hair color, alter her voice. The physical changes required medications, pills to stay thin, treatments to maintain her pale appearance, injections to keep working through exhaustion. Her contract specified her weight down to the pound, with financial penalties for gaining. Doctors affiliated with the studio prescribed whatever kept her working, regardless of side effects. The warning signs appeared months before her collapse: swelling around her eyes and ankles, constant thirst, pain in her lower back. The set doctor noted these symptoms, but classified them as minor concerns, no work restrictions. Her mother, controlling her career since childhood, insisted on herbal remedies, spiritual healing, special diets, none addressing the actual kidney failure developing rapidly. By the time she collapsed on set, her kidneys functioned at less than 15% capacity. The hospital treatment came too late. Her system, already overwhelmed by years of unhealthy practices, couldn't recover. The studio immediately began creating an alternate story, claiming a rare genetic condition, unforeseeable complications, inevitable tragedy. The medical report disappeared from hospital records, replaced with a simplified version removing all mentions of medication misuse and delayed treatment. Her mother received a generous compassion payment from the studio, signing agreements never to discuss medical details. The bright star, marketed as the image of health and beauty, became another victim of an industry that created impossible standards, then punished those who couldn't maintain them without help. Dorothy Dandridge, the final nomination. The first person of color nominated for a major acting award. Her last action, a voice message left in the early hours of the morning. She was discovered hours later in her living space, partially dressed on the bathroom floor. Her body was stiff, jaw locked. The examiner determined accidental overdose from antidepressant medication. But the report revealed more: an untreated foot injury, internal sores, and signs of a sudden fall. It remains unclear if she collapsed before or after taking the pills. The report stated accidental, but her body carried more hidden wounds than diagnoses. The truth existed in her physical remains. It had been asking for help for a long time. Her rise to recognition came with hidden costs. Studio executives made promises dependent on private meetings. Directors commented on her body rather than her performances. The groundbreaking nomination brought spotlight attention, but also racist messages, threats, increased scrutiny. Her medication use began as treatment for performance anxiety, gradually increasing as pressures mounted. Medical records showed multiple emergency room visits in the months before her death, all at different hospitals to avoid publicity. Complaints of chest pain, difficulty breathing, unexplained weight loss. Each time, doctors suggested psychological factors, prescribing more medications without addressing underlying causes. The foot injury, a small fracture sustained on a film set, went untreated because production couldn't afford delays. She worked through pain, using increasing doses of prescribed pain relievers. The voice message, left for her sister, contained no hints of self-harm. Instead, she discussed breakfast plans for the following day, mentioned a new script she was excited about. The bathroom showed signs of someone becoming suddenly ill: water running in the sink, a damp towel on the floor, medicine cabinet open. Toxicology revealed a dangerous interaction between her various prescribed medications, none taken in excessive amounts individually, but lethal in combination. Her death certificate read, "accidental pharmaceutical interaction," but might more honestly have stated, "systemic failure of medical care, of industry support, of basic human compassion for someone breaking barriers while breaking inside." Peg and whistle, the sign above. She jumped from the large letter H in the famous hillside sign. Her body was found at the bottom, broken but still complete. She wore her coat. Inside her handbag, a note: "I'm afraid I'm not brave enough. I'm sorry for everything." The medical examiner was brief. Multiple injuries from falling. Instant death. But the story continued afterward. Weeks later, a letter arrived at her old address. The movie studio had chosen her for a film about a woman who ends her own life. She never read that letter. Her body fell, but the story kept climbing the hill. She had tried for years to become noticed in movies. Arriving with dreams and talent, she found an industry interested mainly in her appearance. Multiple auditions resulted in inappropriate propositions rather than roles. She worked as a waitress, shop assistant, reception desk worker, while attending every open casting call. The rejection letter from her last audition arrived the day before her death, containing cruel comments about her plain appearance and forgettable presence. The hill with its famous sign represented everything about the Dream Factory, visible from everywhere but accessible to very few. She took a bus, then walked the final miles, climbing past warning signs and barriers. Someone reported seeing a woman near the sign around sunset, but thought nothing of it. Tourists often tried to approach the landmark despite restrictions. Her final moments likely included a view of the entire city of dreams spread below, lights beginning to shine as darkness fell. The cruel irony of the studio letter arriving afterward haunted those who knew her story. The role she never knew she won was for a character described as desperate, overlooked, at the end of hope. Qualities she embodied not through acting, but through lived experience. The movie was eventually made with another actress, who accepted an award for the performance without ever mentioning the unknown woman who inspired the role. The famous sign was later surrounded by additional security features, not to protect dreamers from falling, but to protect the landmark from being associated with shattered hopes. The Cape's final curtain. The most recognized monster on screen died in his home, lying in bed, his famous cape hanging in the closet. The body appeared thin, weak, claimed by heart failure. The medical examiner confirmed advanced artery hardening, but the file contained more. A history of pain medication dependency, in his system traces of both not in deadly amounts, but constant. He didn't die from a wooden stake through the heart. He died haunted by the roles he never received. He was prepared for burial with his cape. That was his final performance. His career began with serious dramatic roles, showcasing true acting ability. But after portraying the famous blood-drinking Count, he became forever typecast. Studios wanted only his monster persona, ignoring his range, his training, his desire for varied characters. As years passed, roles diminished to parodies of his famous character. Self-respect eroded with each cheaper production, each more ridiculous than the last. The pain began physically, a back injury during filming never properly treated. The medication provided relief, but created dependency. As public appearances became more difficult, he retreated into isolation, his large home becoming a prison of memories. Rooms filled with photographs from better days, awards from a time when his work received respect, letters from colleagues who gradually stopped writing. His health records revealed numerous doctor visits where he sought help for dependency, only to have new prescriptions written without addressing the underlying problem. His final film, a low-budget horror movie mocking his legendary role, remained unfinished at his death. The cape found in his closet wasn't a costume, but the original from his famous performance, his most treasured possession. His funeral attracted few from the industry that exploited then abandoned him, his legacy reduced to a single character despite a lifetime of dedicated craft. His death certificate listed heart failure, but colleagues who truly knew him understood he died from a broken spirit, from dreams unfulfilled, from an industry that takes everything and returns too little. Judy Garland, the silent ending. They found her in the bathroom, collapsed on the floor covering, head forward, feet cold. For years, she had performed under the weight of legal pills. The report stated simple facts: accidental medicine overdose. But her body was an entire diary. Enlarged liver, damaged kidneys, a heart that couldn't continue. In her stomach, undigested capsules. It wasn't a sudden overdose, it was buildup. Decades of wrongly prescribed treatment, of contracts demanding artificial energy. Her body stopped by itself, and no one was there to hear how it sounded when the music ended. Her talent emerged early, singing, dancing, acting by age 4. Parents who saw dollar signs rather than childhood needs. Studio contracts before she understood what she signed. As a child performer, she received special vitamins before performances, stimulants to ensure energy, sedatives afterward to ensure sleep. The pattern continued into adulthood, her body never learning natural rhythms of rest and activity. Medical files revealed 20 different doctors prescribing medications over her final years, none aware of the others, none seeing the complete picture. Her kitchen contained a complex organizational system for pills, morning pills, afternoon pills, evening pills, performance pills, sleep pills, pain pills, all legally prescribed, all contributing to her physical decline. Friends reported she couldn't sleep without medication, couldn't wake without stimulants, couldn't perform without anti-anxiety drugs. Most revealing was her personal calendar. Performances scheduled with no recovery days, sometimes 3 cities in 24 hours. Notes in margins tracked medication times rather than personal events or celebrations. The final week showed increased doses, desperate attempts to meet impossible obligations despite physical exhaustion. Her last scheduled performance, missed due to her death, was marked with a simple question mark. Perhaps her own acknowledgement that she couldn't continue. The music that defined her life stopped in a quiet bathroom, with no audience, no applause, just the silent collapse of a system pushed beyond human limits. Sal Mano, the alley shadow. Young actor full of promise. Sad ending. The scene. A dark side street behind his West Hollywood home. His body lay on the ground, stabbed once directly to the heart. Nothing taken. No signs of fighting. The examiner called it immediate murder. But initially, no one had answers. Talk of romantic partners, money owed, jealousy. The report showed no signs of resistance. He had been caught by surprise. Silence, precision, escape. It took 2 years to find the killer. A stranger, a small-time thief, no connection to him. But by then, he was already buried, and he'd been wounded long before with whispers. His career had just begun to rise. Small roles in popular shows, recognition at industry events, magazine features predicting future stardom. His public persona contrasted with his private caution. Friends described him as careful, security-conscious, rarely walking alone at night. The alley where he died was not on his usual route home, raising questions about why he was there. The investigation initially focused on personal connections. A recent relationship ending badly. A business partner in a restaurant venture gone wrong. Industry rivals jealous of his sudden success. Each lead investigated, then abandoned as evidence proved insufficient. The breakthrough came from unexpected technology. A traffic camera 6 blocks away, capturing a partial image of someone running from the direction of the crime scene. The eventual arrest revealed a random act, a thief looking for easy targets, choosing the actor simply because he was well-dressed, alone, and in the wrong place. The single stab wound showed professional precision, but the thief had military background explaining the deadly efficiency. Case closed officially, but questions lingered. Why would a security-conscious person enter a dark alley? Why was nothing stolen from the body wearing an expensive watch and carrying a wallet? Why did building security footage for that night go missing? The simple explanation satisfied authorities, but left those who knew him wondering if the convenient arrest closed a more complicated truth about an industry where rising stars sometimes rise too quickly for established powers. Rammon Novaro, the silent film's last scene. Silent film heartthrob. They discovered him in his bed, covered in blood-soaked sheets, his face unrecognizable. The medical examiner's report stated suffocation due to internal bleeding, multiple facial breaks. In the room, candles, broken religious objects, overturned furniture. His body showed signs of torture, but no signs of defense. He had been tied up, beaten, questioned. They were searching for money. They found nothing. The report was harsh. He was killed by 2 young men he had invited over that night, not from hatred, but from greed. But the newspapers made his personal life the center of the crime. His body spoke of pain. The headlines spoke of scandal. His career had already faded as talking pictures replaced silent films. His accent, perfect for international silent stardom, became a liability when audiences could hear him speak. Financial troubles mounted as lavish spending continued despite decreased income. His home, once a showplace, showed signs of selling valuable items gradually. Empty spaces on walls where paintings hung, missing silver collections, jewelry sold piece by piece. The investigation revealed he often invited strangers to his home, seeking company as former friends moved on to sound film success. The two young men, aware of his former wealth but unaware of his current difficulties, believed rumors of hidden cash, valuable collections. When no treasures appeared, rage followed, the beating becoming increasingly violent as they demanded non-existent riches. The true tragedy came after his death. Newspapers, rather than focusing on the brutal crime, highlighted his personal preferences, suggesting he somehow deserved his fate. Former colleagues remained silent, afraid of association. Studio executives who once profited from his talent issued no statements. His funeral attracted few attendees. His grave remained unmarked for decades. The brutal end of his life became overshadowed by judgments about how he lived it. Judgments reflecting the prejudices of the time, rather than the talent, generosity, and kindness remembered by the few who truly knew him.